All right, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode with Top Termite Co. Inc. We are based here in Los Angeles, and for this video, I just wanted to talk a little bit about what it takes to become a termite inspector, um, what's involved with being a termite inspector, if you're ever thinking about entering into the industry. I know each state is going to be different, and different, even different parts of your state, depending on your geographical area. Um, and a lot of this is going to depend on what kind of termite and wood destroying pests issues you have. So in Los Angeles, I'll start there where we are based. We have a lot of wood destroying organisms here. Namely, we have the drywood termite and the subterranean termite. Occasionally, we'll get the Formosian termite, dampwood termite, which is pretty rare. We don't really see that. Powder post beetle, that we'll see that occasionally. Carpenter bees, carpenter ants. But I would say 95% of the time we're dealing with drywood termites or subterranean termites. It's pretty rare that we get anything else. So that's something to want to know. Depending on where you live, you may live in Arizona, you may live in New Mexico, you may live in Florida. All these different states are going to have different types of termite issues or wood destroying organism issues. So I'm only going to be able to talk about Los Angeles, and Northern California is going to have different issues than we have down here because a lot of it depends on the climate. So in Los Angeles, we're close to the coast, and we have a lot of heat and moisture, which termites like. They like to be near the coast. That's why cities like Santa Monica, Venice, Marina del Rey, Pacific Palisades, Malibu, and then going down into Orange County. All of these areas have a lot of termite issues because of the moisture content and the heat. So that combination is basically a breeding ground for termites. And you will see termites inland of the coast. If you go out into the valley, Inland Empire, you're going to have termite issues, but it's not going to be as common. So that's number one. The next thing, let's talk about what the job description of a termite inspector is, or a field representative, as our license states. Basically, you're going and you're doing an inspection of a home for the most part. We do commercial buildings occasionally, but for the most part, we're going into a residential home and we're doing an inspection, and we're looking for evidence of termites. We're looking for wood damage, either caused by wood destroying organisms or by water. Water is a big component of being a termite inspector. And so we're trying to find evidence of these kinds of issues throughout the house. And the way we do that is we use a poker. So it's kind of like a long ski pole, usually around 6 feet or longer, so that we can poke the overhangs. We can poke different types of wood that's high above that we can't reach to just with our arms. And we're poking the wood to see if it's damaged. We're trying to find issues in the wood. The next thing we would use is an ice pick. So it's just a small little 6-inch metal piece that has a pointed end, so we can poke windowsills and other types of wood, doors, whatever it is, to try to find the damaged area. We also use flashlight. We want to use a very powerful flashlight to see in the dark areas, namely the attic space and the sub area space. If the house is on a raised foundation, you need a powerful flashlight to be able to go in and see the evidence of termites. The next big thing is a measuring wheel. We measure. The first thing we do before we start the inspection is we measure the outside of the house, and we try to get as accurate as possible. There's a few reasons why. Number one is we want to draw the house on the diagram that we have with us, so that we can correctly place where we find the evidence of termites. So we can draw while we're at the inspection where we see termites or other issues, wood that's been damaged, or water leaks, water stains, anything like that. We want to be able to mark it on the diagram in an accurate place so that when we come back, or when we send the report to the customer, they know exactly where we're talking about, what area we're pointing out. And number two is the reason why we measure is to get an accurate estimate for when we want to give a price for fumigation. So when we want to fume the house, we have to know the volume of the house to give a price, because the price of fumigation is based off of the cubic feet of the house, and that's how much gas they need to put in to get a good kill to get to all the termites in the wood. So we measure the house, then we go around the house, we check all the wood on the outside, the doors, windows, overhangs, so like sheeting, fascia boards, rafter tails. We're checking all that wood. Once we check all that, we go inside the house, we check the perimeter all the way around. Again, we check the windows, doors. We're looking with our flashlight. We're checking to see if there's water stains coming from the roof. We're checking the ceiling for any possible issues of water or even termite damage. And then once we finish with the inside of the house, then we'll go up into the attic. We'll search the whole attic. We don't just pop our head in. We actually crawl into the attic. We'll go all the way around the circumference of the attic, check. And that's where most of the time we see the evidence of drywood termites. That's where we're going to see the droppings. A lot of times it's in the attic near vents. So when there's termites are attracted to light, so they're usually near vents in the attic, and that's where we like to look. And most of the time, I would say 80% of the time or more, we find evidence of termites in the attic space. It's pretty rare that we don't. And if we don't, then I feel like I did something wrong or I missed something. But we're going to find something up there if I had to put money on it. So we check as much as we can. Sometimes we can't see much in the attic. There's insulation, there's pipes, there's ducts, there's different things going on. So we can't really see sometimes, and which makes our job difficult, and we got to crawl and look and find what we want to find, and it takes time. So we come out of the attic, and the next thing we'll do is we'll go underneath the house if it has a raised foundation and we can crawl into the sub area. We're going to go in there, we're going to crawl on our stomach all the way around, right, the whole circumference of the sub area. We're going to get all the way through there, and again, 80% or more, we're going to find something. We're going to find some kind of evidence of drywood termites. And then even less so, we'll find subterraneans. I would say maybe 40 to 50% of the time we find subterranean termites. And that's where we can see their mud tubes on the foundation, or we'll see their mud tubes on the subflooring and the joists. And that's how we know they're subterraneans. So, and that's a separate treatment than fumigation. That's a whole different way of dealing with those. And then once we did that's our inspection. And we mark everything that we found on the report, on the field sheet, and then we'll do an estimate, and then we'll email the customer our estimate for doing the treatment or the repair work or both or whatever it is. And then we'll do the work. If the customer wants us to do it, we'll do it. So it's pretty simple. It's not a complicated industry. It's not a complicated position. But there is a lot to know, and there's a lot to learn. And it's not something you can just walk in after a week of training and know what you're doing. It's going to take at least 100 inspections to feel comfortable knowing what you're looking for and what you're going to find and how to deal with the issue. So it does require some experience, but I would say as long as you have a good mentor or someone training you, you'll be fine. And having some background in construction helps a ton. If you already know construction, you'll learn super quick because you're dealing with the pieces of the wood on the house. And if you already can name and understand those pieces, you'll learn fast and you'll get through the training fairly quickly. But yeah, there's a lot to learn, which is exciting for me. I loved when I first started training and getting into it and getting my license. I love learning all there is to know about dealing with termites related to a house. And there's so much, and every house is different. And that's also what makes it exciting, is every day is something different. and you're dealing with a different type of house and different types of issues and different types of roofs and wood and all sorts of stuff. And I like that we can find a solution for our customer. I like that we can be the ones that can solve their problem. I enjoy that aspect of this business. And so that's generally what we do every day as inspectors. Of course, there's a lot more to it, and we deal a lot with customers face to face, and being able to convey, what kind of treatment should be done in our professional opinion, and what needs to be done. And of course, we got to give them the costs, and there's a skill to doing estimates and pricing things out and understanding, how much time is a job going to take you and how much effort goes into it and how difficult it's going to be. And so, we are also working with all sorts of professionals. We work a lot with real estate agents, not just homeowners. So you have to understand how the real estate industry works and how to deal with agents and what they want and what they're expecting of us. So that's a big thing. If you're looking to get into termite inspection work, this is pest control, but it's just termites. Just in California, we call it branch 3 pest control. It might be different in other states. We are strictly dealing with residential homes for the most part, and you want to be an expert, right? The agents and the homeowners are looking to us to be the experts in this field, and we have to provide the necessary information and solutions to their problem. And I pride myself on that. I love being able to professionally give the solution to them. And that's a big part of this job, is being confident, knowing what you're talking about, having the resources and the knowledge to back it up as well. Because they're going to ask questions. Why do you do it this way? Why not do it this way? And you got to be able to provide that information. And not only do we do the inspections, we also do the treatment work ourselves. As field reps, we can do all of the things that applicators do, which is dealing with chemicals. So we do spot treating ourselves. We'll do the subterranean treatment ourselves, which requires actually treating the soil where we found the evidence of subterranean termites, where we found those mud tubes. We got to actually get into the soil. And sometimes you got to drill through concrete to do that. Drill through the foundation, drill through the hardscapes. So that's a little bit added work that you got to know how to do, and you got to do it professionally. Can't make mistakes there, especially if you got to drill and you're not paying attention and you don't notice that the gas line is nearby. You can get into trouble there. So most importantly, you got to have training. You got to have the right person teaching you how to do the job correctly. Because if you don't have that, you're going to make mistakes, and some of them can be super costly. And of course, we're all going to make mistakes, and that's part of life, but in any job or anything that you do. But we want to try to minimize the mistakes that are less impactful than big mistakes. We of course we're going to make mistakes, but we don't want to make the big ones, right? We want to make sure that we do everything in above board way. We do things the right way the first time, and we're not having to go back and fix major things. And I've made some big time mistakes early on, and I'll probably do a video on those to warn other termite inspectors of what those are and how to avoid them, so they don't have to go through what I went through. So yeah, that's a quick little rundown of what we do as termite inspectors and how we look at the job and how we pride ourselves on doing a great job for our customers, making sure that we find everything that we need to find. We are not inspectors that are gonna appease to anyone, homeowner or real estate otherwise, that wants a clear report or doesn't want us to put something on the report or wants us to leave something off. That's not going to fly with us. We're going to do things the right way. We're going to put everything on the report that we see with our eye and that we find, and it's going to go down there, and we're not going to lie or cheat or steal, do anything like that, because it's just not worth it. it doesn't make sense. And if someone doesn't want to work that way, that's fine. We'll work with someone else. It's not a big deal. But yeah, that's how we do business. But yeah, would love to hear from you guys. If you're looking to become a termite inspector, if you have any questions, please reach out. And yeah, I hope to keep doing more videos about what it takes to become a termite inspector, what the day-to-day life is. I'll get into more of the equipment that we use. I'll get into more of the financing part of it, or how much money can be made as a termite inspector. Yeah, I'll get into all that fun stuff. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Peace.